I'm Mick McCarthy.
And I'm Tony Pulis.
And welcome to The Managers. You take over Oldham in 2002. How did you manage them?
I run them. We were in the swimming pool every morning at 7:30. We had some brilliant swimmers. We had a couple of there were better swimmers than there were footballers.
So at your time at Palace, you worked with Simon Jordan. What was it like working with him?
All right.
It ended acrimoniously though, didn't it?
We were never best friends. The shenanigans that went afterwards didn't need to happen, but that was just the nature of how it turned out.
Right, Tom, we're back again, lad. And I guess this week, enjoyed a remarkable rise through the game. A prolific goal scorer in non-league football during the 1980s. He had a move to top-flight Luton Town and went on to spend the majority of his career in the Premier League. After hanging up his boots, he transitioned into management and masterminded what is widely regarded as one of the greatest promotions to the Premier League. I remember it well. And he may well be the smartest guest we've ever had on the podcast, holding a master's degree in mechanical engineering, having worked for British Aerospace, testing missiles. Wow, you headed a few. It's our pleasure to welcome to the Managers, Iain Dowie. Welcome, Iain.
Well, thanks very much. Pal. I'm in management royalty here with you two. It's nice to be. It's nice to be.
Iain, but just before we go into the management, I always like to know, like football-wise, go to school, youth football, then on to non-league, playing with the men. How did that transpire?
What's not in that is that I was 16 at Southampton as in the youth team, and I was released from there for being too small, which I was actually quite small at 16.
Yeah.
And my dad, brilliant man that he was, no longer with us, but brilliant man that he was, let me have a 6 month sort of hiatus, didn't bother, and he said, right, come on. And so he got me back out there. He had a bamboo thing with a hanging the ball, and he had bollards, and he was, he played a good level in Northern Ireland. Anyway, so he got me back into it. Suddenly, I found the love of the game, and I went with my brother to he was at St Albans, and got in St Albans' team, and then Hendon came in for me at a moment, and then I just went to was one of the, and we still spend 3 times a year we go out with the Hendon lads, probably more than any other pro. We spend a lot of time with them, and I was blessed to play with a lad called Dermot Drummie, who tragically took his own life. Dermot, I think I'd scored something like 29 in the league and about 10 in the FA Cup by Christmas at this non-league when I went. And I think Dermot had probably set up about 26 of them. He's just a brilliant winger. Just kept crossing the ball when I was heading them in. So.
Sorry, there was a winger that crossed balls at one time, was there?
yeah. Didn't check back.
And did you used to go in this 18-yard box near the post?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. I hadn't said why I lost all my teeth, but anyway, it was fine. But what I'm saying is, it was fantastic. And Ted Hardy, the manager, was a legend in non-league there, and he come to and Geary, the chairman at Hendon. So I had 4 or 5 bids in for me, and the biggest was from Doncaster. He wanted me to go to Doncaster, and I wasn't going to go to Doncaster over Luton. They were League One, I think, at the time. Anyway, so I ended up going to Luton.
The great story about that for people who are listening, especially youngsters who are listening, you might get a knockback early on, or whether it's in your teens or whatever, but there's always a route back, and there's always an opportunity back. And by going into non-league football, you get back and have a fantastic, wonderful career.
We had 7 sent off in one game in non-league, and a full-blown brawl, which my brother was at the heart at.
Yeah,
it toughened you up.
Yeah,
you had to be, you had to put your neck on the line.
We talk about the game. When we played or managed early on, it was violent. Certainly when we were playing,
Yeah.
Non-league was even worse. I mean, when I'd finished, I actually played a few games in non-league. They asked me to play once, and I thought this is bonkers. And then I had one half where I quite enjoyed it. I started mixing it with the others, and I thought, mate, you're just off your head. Why would you want to be doing this?
No.
The career you've had. But they were kicking lumps out of these lads I was playing with. Yeah,
but it was.
You learned to hold your own, though, Dowie. I have to know. I have to say,
I agree
you
with
were
that.
pretty good at it.
No. Yeah, but what I'm saying is, I violence was part of it, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah. I mean, listen. Truth matter is, my first ever full debut for Luton Town was Mick Harford said to me, "You're right." I suppose he said, I was 23 at the time, you know, because he said, I said, yeah, well, obviously I'm a bit nervous. He said, tell you what, I normally do it, but I'll give it to you. He said, I said, what's that, Mick? He said, first cross comes in, Tim Brake will get it out of his feet, he'll get it in the box. Just go and nail the keeper. I said, I can do that, Mick. I can do that.
I'm your man. Yeah. During your playing days, you worked under some top names. So, you know, Ray Harford, Billy Bonds, Billy Bingham, Ian Branfoot, Alan Ball, Alan Smith, Steve Coppell, Laurie McMenemy, Harry Redknapp, Jerry Francis. There's some good names to have learned your trade, played under and learned your trade. Who had the biggest influence on you? Was any one of them?
Management-wise, Jerry Francis.
Oh.
Yeah, and Ray Harford to a degree. Playing-wise, Ray was very structured and very organised. Billy Bingham was ultra structured and organised. And you know, in that day when we played, I think he came and watched me in an under-21 game, and then he got me into the first team. Well, in the first team squad in Northern Ireland, and what a group of characters there were there. My word, we'd turn up on a Sunday and we'd go to the pub and come back.
I remember days like that.
It's a really funny story actually. We had a goalkeeper. We came back. We came back to what's called the chimney corner. And it was a terrible hotel. I mean, don't mean a terrible. It's perfectly decent, but it's a very low maintenance hotel, not very plush or anything. And out the back there was playing fields. That's why we stayed there, because we trained on just park pitches out the back. Yeah. Amazing, Northern Ireland. Anyway, so we go back there and we go out on this time. And Billy Bingham, as we go out, said, "Have a few pints, lads. Make sure no problem. You're coming in." Anyway, as we come in, the lads don't come in. There's a grab a granny going on. So the lads all steaming to grab a granny, and Billy comes in, gets rid of us all, apart from for the keeper, forgets the keeper, then he goes back to get the keeper, and off he gets to bed and everything's fine. Anyway, in the morning, there's a few whispering, so I come down for breakfast. I said, what's the matter? Oh, he said, he sent the keeper home. I said, what do you mean? Anyway, I said, I can't. He said, yeah, he's got to go home. Anyway, and sure enough, he comes downstairs, head down here, he gets out, and all the lads are clapping him and all that. Off he goes. He sends him home in the cab. And then when we walk out the training, as we walk out the outside, what's happened is they sent him to bed, and if you look in his home door, he's got the sheets tied to the radiator, and they're out the way. It's like Rapunzel. He's gone into his room, come back downstairs, and gone into the thing. It's crazy.
I want to know where this hotel is, because it started off like it was a bit of a dump, and all of a sudden you readdress that to one, but it's not so bad. And there's football fields behind you.
No, yeah, he did. Or chimney corners in Northern Ireland.
But as a manager, then, as a coach, was it Jerry Francis who had the biggest influence?
Well, listen, Billy was very, very good and very organised. But as a manager, you know, I mean, Harry has a unique way of managing, and he could tell you something that's not the truth, yet it would still go all right. No, but he's got that personality about him.
I work. I'm sorry, obviously, I played. I played under Harry, and I've got great stories where he's left people out, and you walk out of the room quite happy with what he said, and then you get to the dressing room and you realise he's just dropped me. The way he did it.
No, it's exactly true.
Unbelievable.
And it's even now, I spoke to him last week after he'd won the King George, and I said to him about it, and he said, and Jamie's a great fella too, really. And he just had a way of managing, you know. And you know, he had Frank Lampard Senior, and you know, I've got to say, for lots of it, I'd love to go back and change who I was as a player, because it was a raucous bunch who really not trained their socks off. Don't get me wrong, really good professionals when they've trained, but were almost out of control.
Where is this? Is this?
This is at West Ham.
We've had Harry on. I was just going to ask you there. You know, it's full of big characters. How was it? How did Harry's manage that environment, that dressing room? He let you play. I think is he one of them that sort of casts a blind eye to a little bit of it, but as long as he gets the best out of it on the pitch, he'll let you play.
That's exactly what he does. I mean, he had to cast an eye, and not being funny. I've said to him many times since then, you know, we'd come in, we went on to watch an Open once, up in Scotland, a training camp. Come in, and as we come in, we're having dinner, and Harry said, "Right, go to your room, come back down, have a bit of food, and then that's you've had a few beers today, and that's enough." And we came in, walked straight up, sat down, had food, and just went straight back out the door. And but that one thing is, it wasn't meant to be disrespectful to Harry. But it was. Of course it was, because you weren't. He was great and looked after you and we didn't look after him enough. I think lots of us would agree. And we had me, John Hartson,
looking at me,
Paul Kitson, and Julian Dix, Ian Bishop, John Moncur, great Julian Dix, unbelievable characters, good people. And then you had Ludo, who was a shining beacon of light. Ludo. It was the best keeper ever. He did the rollers, and everyone thought, that'd be easy to do. 25 on your toes, right out. Anyway.
Tell me, how were you doing at that stage? The team, was it thriving? Because if you're thriving, you can let things go,
Yeah.
There's a real bad spell where... Was there a bad spell where he had to go, hold on a minute, because then you shouldn't all be going out drinking if you're having a bad spell. How did he manage that?
He shipped me off to QPR.
Oh, well, that was a good decision.
No. All I'm saying is, we had a bad spell, but they also had some really good, we had really good. I mean, John Hartson. Would you believe, when me and him played up front together, he wanted me to head the ball. He wanted me, and he had a fruit reaver. I think he got 23 goals.
A lot of pace there, Mick.
By the way, I've got to say, he's a bit quicker than you think, Big John. I've got to say, I've never played anyone stronger than John.
Yeah.
And by the way,
he's a top player. Yeah,
top player, and should have been like lots. I think about the time. I think Razor was there for a period. Razor should have been an elite centre half, but probably.
But it's amazing how you said you'd like to change your.
Yeah.
Wouldn't we all? I guess because No,
I don't listen. I don't think you were. Listen. Of course, you like a beer, and everyone does. But at the time,
you went to excess.
I don't mean that.
We went to excess.
When you look back on it, you could now, as being a coach and manager, you could always improve yourself.
Yeah. No. Absolutely.
I guess we all could. That's my point.
Yes, I agree.
So when did that change at West Ham, or didn't it change when you were there?
Yeah, Harry tried to thin it down, and in the end, he got his way. I think in the end, and people started to get a different level. Do you know what? I also thought when I did it when I did it as a manager, I brought, and some of it was Jerry driven, because Jerry was very physical. Exercise, he wanted. I went down that route.
Yeah,
and set pieces particularly as well during it. But I made it so difficult. If you're not at elite level, fitness wise, you're not going to play. That was the sort of way we were. I managed initially when I first started. I thought, this is easy. It's not easy.
I just wonder now, looking back on it, when we all used to go and have a few beers.
Yeah.
And whether we would have been at this elite level now in terms of fitness when, I don't think, do they go out for a beer now? Does anybody go out?
No, I don't think they do.
So, I mean, in reality, they should be a hell of a lot fitter, I guess.
Yeah. Listen, my view is, I think you can have a couple of beers, I think, at any time. I don't think that's a shock or anything. What I'm saying is, when
the thing was, when we did it, everybody was having a beer.
Every bit, so yeah. I agree. What I'd say now is, I played under one of the best captains at Luton, Steve Foster.
Yeah,
brilliant captain.
Yeah.
He'd drink. That's not being rude. He'd drink on a Wednesday or Thursday for a game. It's not unusual. Yeah. For me, I would never do that. But I'm saying he would, but he'd be absolutely outstanding at the weekend.
Oh, he was a player.
Yeah, he moved people about in his voice. He didn't have to run himself. He was a. And I go and watch some youth games for Palace now. No one talks in the game where you get absolutely ruined. If I was 10 yards too far to the left and a fullback got out when we're trying to hold him, Steve would rip me another backside. So I think actually in a lot of ways, their desire was at such an elite level. Old players' desires at such an elite level that it actually no. I think
mentally they were stronger. Ian.
Yes.
So Ian, I I scored a few own goals myself, but apparently it's 30 years coming up since you scored an incredible goal. Can you just talk us through it? Come on, give us your version.
Actually. It's Edgeley Park, wet and windy night.
Stockport.
Yeah. And the throwing comes in. I go to head it out. I get it on the star, it goes in right in the top corner. Ludo should save it, but he doesn't. And then, would you believe, in the same game I broke my leg, went for on goal, and I nip it past the keeper. He clips me, doesn't give a penalty, but he does. And then I've got a spiral fracture in my leg. Anyway, we go off. Anyway, we get beat. To be fair, they played very well, Stockport. They beat us. Anyway, we got beat. We should never have got beaten. It's quite late.
I'm really sorry I brought this up.
Was it quarterfinals? But let me tell you, what's come full circle is my wife's charity. She has a breast cancer charity,
yes.
And so we have a ball, and we have it in March this year. And so I was with a friend of mine who's a businessman in Manchester, and he had his do the other day, and at the table. His table was Mark Stott, the
Stockport owner.
Stockport owner who said, and he came up to me. He said, "By the way, that's the only place I get a standing ovation is Stockport County." He said, "Well, we're very thankful. We have to bring you back and bring you out on the pitch." I said, "You're never going to get me to do that." But so it was good fun. But he did say he was going to have a table at the ball, so it was very kind. So.
The Managers with Mick and Tony is powered by BOYLE Sports, the home of the early payout. And why is BOYLE Sports the home of the early payout? I hear you ask. Well, with BOYLE Sports, if your team goes 2 goals up, you win. Job done. You're getting paid out. Singles, ACCAs, bet builders, it's all covered. And this also means that we need to reconsider some crucial games across your careers, Mick and Tony. In fact, I'm going to take you back to the Britannia Stadium, Halloween 2009, the first time Mick McCarthy meets Tony Pulis in the Premier League. Stoke go 2-0 up, but Mick, your Wolves team come back, draw 2-2, and I'm sorry, Mick, I'm taking the point off you. Because of BOYLE Sports' new laws, I'm afraid Stoke won that game. Congratulations, Tony.
Thank you.
There you go. So get paid out as a winner if your team goes 2 goals ahead, even if they go on to win, lose or draw. 90 minutes only applies to singles and multiples. 18 plus, T's and C's apply. Back yourself with BOYLE Sports, the home of the early payout. Head to boylesports.com or download the app to find out more.
How is a manager then? So you're speaking about your
playing
culture
days.
as a player, as you know, we all knew there's a drinking culture, and without a doubt. You were winding down. You took a caretaker spell at QPR, and then you take over Oldham in 2002. You immediately got them to 5th place, losing just 8 games all season. How did you manage them? So that's really, for the start, that's brilliant, isn't it, as a young coach manager?
Yeah.
Did you take that stuff from you, like the culture of the West Ham that you were with? Did you take it into where you were? Did you think, yes, they can go out and have a beer?
No, completely opposite.
No. It wasn't that they couldn't do that. They could go out for a beer, but they could listen. I run them.
Yes. Yeah.
So I took over that job. We were in the swimming pool every morning at 7:30. Every morning, and they left the ground after 3:00 for every pre-season, so 4 weeks. And I took the swimming away just before the start of the season, and they came back to me and said, we need the swimming back. We want the swimming. And we had some brilliant swimmers. We had a couple of we had a couple of amazing swimmers. They were better swimmers than they were footballers.
Oldham have got 3 Olympic golds in
the
swimming.
3 Olympic golds. But
But in the national league.
I changed a little bit. I changed about the physio and a few other things, and it was a great club.
What brought you into wanting to swim? Who did you read about? Or did you read about it?
Very simple. So I took over, and Oldham had a rugby league club. And I was going through, I bumped into the coach of the rugby league club, John Harbin.
Yeah.
And me and him went out for a bite to eat, came back in, and I said, listen, would you do fitness for me? He went, yeah. I said, well, can you commit to full time? He said, well, yeah, let me have it. So he had a chat with them. Yeah. So he came in. He was just magnificent, mate.
Was he? Yeah.
Oh, magnificent. So he was unbelievably tough, but unbelievably empathetic. So it just sounds like it's an oxymoron, but he was. All the lads loved him. He'd front you up. He'd go box it. If you had an argument, he'd take you. Some kind of have a little boxing, like get it out of your skin. He was clever.
Yeah.
He got him to boxing, got him to swimming. He said water recovery is what we all do in Australia for the rugby league.
Yeah.
And at the time they were, and so he just helped me.
If you come in like that and you bring somebody else in with you, and you change it, and all the players can sense it's good, they're enjoying it, they feel fitter, they feel stronger, less injuries. How important that is to you, especially as a young manager just going in.
Yeah.
It's revolutionary for the players.
Yeah.
It definitely is. And he said to me, one of those things that changed me as a manager completely. He said, Ian, right after I was about 3 months in, he said, "Could you got a minute?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Listen, we've started great. Everything's going good." He said, "You're brilliant." He said, "Can I tell you something?" I said, "Yeah, of course you can." He said, "You ask a question to a player and you answer it for him." And I was like, "Do I?" He went, "Yeah, you do." I said, "Ian, you need to be a much better listener than you are.
Yeah.
You got that many thoughts going through your mind, Ian. You got to slow down and listen."
It's great advice.
And it's unbelievable advice. And so when you actually listen, but really listen, he said, don't just listen. You listen, but you don't really listen. And it was true. And so that changed me.
They say 1 mouth, 2 ears.
Yeah, that's exactly true. But he really, it came with it brought a camaraderie to it. Because I at Palace, we'd have half an hour with every player once a month, just me and them, go for coffee, go for tea, whatever, and just get to know about them, try and understand them. And so you got to know their families and friends and whatever, it became, and yet I still did all the running. So that never changed.
Yeah.
And
The fitness guys are super important. They get overlooked slightly. And I'm not talking about...
Not now, I don't think now.
I think they were at the time.
Yeah,
I mean, we had Andy
very much
Liddle.
so.
I had him with him at Ipswich. I took him with Ireland. He'd take them out. He had them super fit.
Yeah.
He'd beat them all at head tennis and all, which they all hated, but he was fantastic. But what a great guy. When we were ready to start our sessions, me and TC,
they were ready
to go. There weren't anybody wanting to have a stretch or do something else. They were ready to go. Really, really important. All the guys.
He did the warm-up at Oldham, okay, and I swear that season, never the same warm-up.
Yeah.
And by the way, all with balls, got balls involved, so he was clever. Yeah, it wasn't like, he came to Palace. This is a good story actually. We turn up at Palace. And anyway, they've had a difficult time and where they are. So he says,
I was just moving on to Palace, so come on, we'll stick
so we go to the training ground. Anyway, so John says to him, just run round the outside of the training ground, 4 poles, run round the outside. So he goes, run round the outside of the 4 poles, please. And so they go again. Okay, and he comes. He went, lads, do me a favour and run round the poles. Okay? And I know what he's doing, but they don't. Yeah. They don't. So Darren Powell pipes up. Is this an effing running club? And so he said, all right, Powell, come here. He said, I'll tell you what, when we're finished here, 2:30 this afternoon, me and you in the gym, boxing gloves on, let's have a little, let's get out your system. So anyway, he goes, 4th one, he goes, lads, I'm asking you to run round the poles, run round the poles. We don't have shortcuts here. We don't have shortcuts. Not that, and be fair, the lads go round it, and I've got to say the lads loved him.
Yeah.
Probably hated me at times because they thought I was doing the running. We still kept the running, but I also said to Powley, just go and say so to John, and because you can't have you having a fight with the thing the first day. It's never going to. And by the way, probably Powley might have won, but anyway, so he just had that manner with him. So he was so important, but he was a brilliant, for me, a mentor because he'd been a coach. In Australian rugby league format, he understood it. Very mindful about what it was. Absolutely, an expert in recovery, and so that was really helpful and changed things for me. And
I was going to say, from your opinion of what football was and how you trained and what you did, and they said going back to the drinking culture and what you probably never had a an ice bath or a warm down, a cool down, anything like that.
No.
That must have been, I said before, revolutionary for you, for yourself, let alone the players that you were.
Yeah.
You could see that it was the way to do it.
I agree. I think in terms of my playing career, what I think is one thing I always blessed myself was to be like I'd been the second best runner at Southampton behind Franny Benali because Franny was a freak of nature. Yeah. I'd tried that. That was my thing. I want to be super fit, so I kept myself really good shape. So I'd always done that. But you're right. You're not. I don't think
you understood what you were doing though. You were just running. And
no,
yourself
exactly
fit,
right. I had
as fit as you possibly could.
No sense of anything else.
No reason why you were doing it, or in recovery. You'd not. I didn't see any of that.
No, and listen, a lot for that long of that period, the early period at Luton was just about living home, but and then moved out, sort of thing. And so, I had great food because Mum was a good cook, and then my girlfriend at the time became my wife. Deb was a great cook too. So a lot of good food. I was always eating good food.
Yeah,
but
it's so important, isn't it?
Yeah. And even now, the difference in I pop into the training ground, the academy training ground, which is just like something obscene where you're Beckenham way, so you'll know. So how good it is, it's just.
So that's at Palace. So in December 2003, Crystal Palace approached you while they were struggling at the bottom of Division 1. You then oversee an incredible turnaround, 17 wins from 23 games to reach the playoffs. What were the key changes despite that run? Because that is some,
Yeah, it is.
17 wins from 23 is magnificent.
It is. Defensive structure.
I love that from a centre forward because it.
No, it's 100%. Listen, my view is.
No, this is a compliment. Thing. Alan Clark came to Barnsley. I'd had Norman Hunter, who was one of my heroes as a defender. But Alan Clark paid more attention, I would say, to being structured and defending. Norman wanted to play out the back and play football. So I'm saying it's a compliment to you. You recognise it. So go on, tell us how you did it.
And then it's players. Listen, my view is we had Aki Riolati, we had Michael Hughes, we had Neil Shipley, Andy Johnson, and this I did a little bit, I suppose, of what the culture was. I started doing that individual one-to-ones with people. So on a Wednesday, I'd get in 8:30. First one was at 9 to 9:45. 10 o'clock, 10 to 10:45.
Just with the forwards?
No, with everyone. So everyone would get. And defensive structure. Yeah. So I would do with Andy Johnson. Andy Johnson, I was watching him, and by the way, he's blistering quick, but he's just a great kid. And he was playing with a brilliant centre forward in Neil Shipley.
Yeah.
Who if you pinged it up to him, it just stuck. And by the way, he was clever. He's beyond his years in his knowledge, really. And he was fantastic. And then we had freaks of nature. We had a lad called Julian Gray, who was the best and remains the best athlete I've ever worked with.
Yeah.
Now, people have said he's a bit milky in a tackle, which would be fair. But his technical ability was lunacy. But he could run just a million times better than anyone else. Yeah. I mean, it was a quantum leap to the next one at Palace. Yeah. We had him one side, we had Routledge the other, and we played, and them two, and we played 4-4-2. And then I went and got Mark Hudson from Fulham, who came on loan. That helped us big.
The big centre half.
Yeah. Made a difference. We had a keeper, we changed the keeper, and then we had another keeper, and we got on a bit of a roll, and Julian and Wayne were fantastic out wide. Difficult to stop.
I remember that team well, of course, because we came up against my Sunderland side in the playoff semi-finals, and I've still got a bone to pick with you. It was definitely a foul on Mark Boone, mate. Shipley.
No. Do you know what?
He never forgets, mate.
No.
He never forgets.
Mate, I've got to say, listen.
I wasn't expecting him to say yes.
When we said we were having you on the programme, he was absolutely delighted. He said, I've got a bone to pick with him. And during that conversation, I'm going to bring it up.
No, it's actually, if you see it, it's probably... I mean, in them days, in them days it wasn't. In this day, it'd be 100% a foul now. It'd be 100% a foul now. But the freak of it is we played really well. As did they, attacking wise. It was a joke. It was 4-5, 4-3 when it was right. Anyway, they go 2-0 up, and then
we lost 3-2 at your place, and we were winning 2-1. And it was the first year that they had away goals didn't count as doubles. So David Sheepshanks was a really good friend of mine as well. He got that
killed you,
changed it, killed it, and of course we would have gone through on away goals, but anyway, it turned out we lost on penalties. We lost on penalties. Put good old Jeff Whitley.
Well, I remember your face, but I remember after he was very kind. He came in and said, "Ian, just don't talk about the game, but let's have a beer. Well done." But I actually remember seeing his face when Jeff does that, because it bounces twice before it gets to the keeper. It just, Jeff. I played with Jeff at what's his name. It was always a bit. Does you think? But when I'm watching, I don't think he's going to do this.
We've been doing the penalties, and I'm saying to them, pick a spot, hit it as hard as you can. Pick a spot, pick it as hard as you can. Don't change your mind, do that. And I think he walks up to it and he tries the Panenka, doesn't he? And it bounced. He said he caught it.
It went bounce, he picks it up. He didn't. It's not, I'm not sure it had gone over the line. The thing is, then Poon gets a hand to Michael Hughes's, but it goes in. And then the rest, is history. But, I'm
glad you got that off your chest, Mick.
Thanks.
No, it was such a big occasion, because you imagine that, as they all are, you'd be involved in it, then to go and play against my team at Wembley. My club, West Ham, has been all my life, and then played against them there, who were widely regarded to romp it. But we just had a.
By the way, let me just tell you what an amazing achievement it was. Because where were we? We were bottom at the time. We took our third bottom.
Third bottom, yeah.
And 17 wins from 23 again. It is incredible.
Yeah.
So congratulations. I was delighted for you.
Nick, that doesn't sound. That sounds like you're looking down at your feet when you're saying that, Nick.
I'm reading that.
He's not looked at you once.
You're reading that off a script. He doesn't believe that in the slightest.
Well, they used to have those cases of water. I kicked one of them.
Yeah, I know you did.
12 of them bottles went flying.
Yeah, you did.
I've still got a sore toe today. And then you came in for a drink, and I'd gone in, and somebody said to me, I threw a cup against the wall, and there was a great big hole in the wall. And afterwards, when everything had calmed down, somebody said to me, "Don't worry, Mick, I'll repair that." I said, "Don't you touch that. You leave that alone until we get promoted." Thankfully, we got promoted the following year. Yeah. But listen, fun apart, because it was a long time ago, and it was a great result on your part. But to get promoted like you did,
that's fantastic.
Was incredible. Yeah. It really was. Of course, beating us in the playoffs, we laugh about it and all that.
Yeah.
But you had a great result against Tony Stoke.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Can you just enlighten?
Was that in the championship?
Yeah.
What was the score?
6-3, yeah.
Oh, surely not.
Cricket
score.
Well,
do you know what? I've got a picture of me and my son celebrating after that, and my two sons are small, and I did this fist pump after every game to the crowd, and the two lads are doing exactly the same, and it sits in there. It was after that game.
The Managers with Mick and Tony is powered by BOYLE Sports, the home of the early payout. And why is BOYLE Sports the home of the early payout, I hear you ask? Well, with BOYLE Sports, if the team you back goes 2 goals up, you win, job done, you're getting paid out. Singles, ACCAs, bet builders, it's all covered. And this means we need to reconsider a crucial game in your career, Tony. I'm talking, of course, about the 1999 playoff final, when your Gillingham team were 2 goals up with 5 minutes to play. Obviously, that means, in the eyes of BOYLE Sports, you have now won the Second Division playoff final, 1999. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
And also, West Ham won the 2006 FA Cup final, which is great. And commiserations to Liverpool for not winning the 2005 Champions League. And obviously, now Gillingham have won the 1999 Second Division playoff final. Commiserations to Nicky Weaver and Manchester City. Yes, get paid out as a winner if your team goes 2 goals ahead, even if they win, lose or draw. 90 minutes only, applies to singles and multiples. 18 plus, T's and C's apply. Back yourself with BOYLE Sports, the home of the early payout. Head to boylesports.com or download the app to find out more.
Ian, you're the first guest to have invented a word that was added to the Oxford English Dictionary.
Yeah.
Bouncebackability. It was inserted in 2005. Go on. How did you come up with that one?
If I'm honest, it's probably a very dark moment, because I I think we drew 1 and lost 6 or something. You know what I mean? In bad moments, and I just said, listen, how do you come about? It's about having bounce back ability. I just came out with it, and then Sky Sports, that Saturday morning show, just run with it, and it became viral.
Wonderful for them.
Yeah. So it comes out, and now it's everywhere, and it gets done. Now, the truth of the matter is, I think in lots of ways,
it's true.
It is true.
It's true.
But it doesn't apply to everyone. Everyone's got a level of bounce back ability. I've always said, my dad used to say, if I'd got the cane at school, first thing he'd say was, "What did you do?"
Yeah.
And so in our house, you knew you could never swear in front of my mum, never.
Yeah.
You had to tidy your bedroom. Dad had the rules. We never hit me in his life. Never hit me in his life. But I was scared of him. Mum was also quite fearsome, but the most loving people. So for me, I was used to doing these things. So I expect standards from people. How you transfer them standards to your team, I think, is very important. I remember going the first day I was in at Palace. We went out first away game. A lot of lads walked left, and I've called the captain back and said, "Go and get everyone back." I said, "What's this? All the plates everywhere and cups. Come on, what if your mum was?"
But that sort of thing, that is sloppy and lazy.
Yeah.
And of course, it transmits itself onto the pitch.
100%.
So your standards off the pitch certainly get your standards on the pitch. Sometimes get set by your standards off it. No, do get set by your own personal standards and inflicting them, for want of a better word, making sure they uphold them.
But
as
it's
well.
standards, Iain.
Iain, sorry, so we talked about you getting promoted with Palace and how well you'd done. Palace come so close to surviving in the Premier League, but agonisingly get relegated on the final day of the season. Do you feel anything could have been done differently, or did that squad simply give everything it had and it was probably a...
It's a very fair point, Mick. I think there's certainly more I could have done. I don't believe the lads could have done much more.
Very honest of you.
No, well, there's definitely much more I could have done, and details and little moments. I mean, I still go back to we played Southampton. The keeper threw the ball out. We're 1-0 up. We win the game. We stay up. But the keeper throws the ball out in the last couple of minutes of the game, a long throw, and it gets intercepted, and they go and score and equalise, and there we go. So it's moments like that. But what I'm saying, and I don't blame the keeper at all.
Can I just ask, how often do you think about that? Because that came very quickly.
Too often, Mick. I wake up at night. What do I think? There's absolutely nothing the lads could have done. Could we have had some more help?
We're no different then.
Of course we could, some more help. But, my view is I take fair and square on my shoulders, as everyone, well, every manager should. It's my responsibility. That's nothing more. Nothing more.
So at your time at Palace, you worked with Simon Jordan.
Yep.
He's obviously gone on to have his own media career.
Yep.
What was it like working with him, with Simon?
All right. Yeah, listen, but Simon initially had his own way of thinking. He had a lot of, he wanted the club a certain way, and I turned up, and he said, he gave me the job, and we had a little. He'd sort of had players that weren't in the frame because they had not done things right. So I just said, let me. So he let me get on with it. To be fair, so I've got to say, and then
it ended acrimoniously, though, didn't it?
Very yeah. But what I'm saying is, I don't think my view is they can always end in bad ways, and it's really nothing other than a club came in and blah blah blah, and part of that was it probably did acrimoniously between me and him, but the shenanigans that went afterwards didn't need to happen, but that was just the nature of how it turned out. So it's not
a big falling out between two big public characters always ends up and it's what other people write about it and say about it, and what's on the radio, what's on the TV, rather than what's actually happening with the two of you.
Yeah. Listen, my view is we were never best friends. We had.
How do you look back on it, though?
I look back on it. I look back with a great deal of unbelievable. Listen, a great deal of affection because there was so much. We had such a good period. Listen, as you rightly say, who does that? It was we conjured a spirit within this team. One more round, we had this thing going around. We every time we got on the pitch, we were having one more round. So it was one there, just take it one at a time. And we built this thing. We got this machine rolling. It's a massive football club with huge support. We go over there. We sell out the Principality. We win the thing. We get hammered a lot in the Premier League, but we had some great little victories in there. So
yeah, that's still happening with all the teams that get promoted.
So just quickly, was it results that made you change with Simon? Was it
No.
a run of bad results?
No.
Was it just a personal clash of priorities,
personal
ideals?
clash? Really, he's a different way of thinking about things than I do.
Yeah.
So that's just what it is, and it's not right or wrong. Simon's a very good communicator. You can see him on the radio. He's really good. But all I'd say, listen, we had some issues in the build up even to the playoff final.
Yeah.
So before the playoff final, that was resolved very late on. But for the most part, me and Simon never really fell out. Only it became a late on, and that's what it was. So it doesn't anger me. I'm not an angry man. If you're an angry manager, I don't think it's going to work. You've got to be a bit thoughtful and a bit. But could I have done things different? I'm sure Simon would say yes, that's right, and I'd agree because I was a young manager, so I would accept that on the chin. Could he have done things in a better manager? Yeah, I think he definitely could. So that's what it is.
So after that, you go to Charlton. I was saying to you earlier on, because I'd left the Ireland job, and I went and was interviewed for the Charlton job, and you got it. But I was told you knocked them out with your presentation anyway. So
anyway, I do what it was.
Well,
anyway, what I'm saying is, listen,
but you took over from Alice Kerbishley.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, which is it didn't go particularly well, and I ended up getting a sack. I was putting the Christmas tree up at my house, and the chairman rang me and said, "Well, to be fair, it was." Justified, Mick. Let's be honest. Come on, if you got anything about we'd signed some decent players, and we were doing all right. We're in the quarter final of the cup, and all that was sort of brought up. But it doesn't matter. In the end, he didn't win enough league games, and I didn't do well enough. And actually, I probably didn't realise, truthfully, the sort of a little bit of. The Palace sort of Charlton rivalry a little bit. It wasn't a big thing, but it sort of got brought up in a big way.
Could have been worse, mate. You could have gone to Millwall.
Well, that would have been.
And I don't mean as the club.
I've had some very nice words said to me at Millwall.
Let me clear that up. That's not as the club Millwall, as the rivalry between the two of them. Millwall and West Ham and Millwall and Palace. When I was there, oh wow, they were some games. Then.
Ian, was there a big difference between Charlton and Palace? The way the clubs are run?
No, not really. No, I mean, I think Curb's obviously done a very, very, very good job, and then and you forget how good jobs these people do at these clubs because and Nathan's there now, so he's it's still it's a very big football club, and hopefully it'll bounce back. In the end, you take it on the chin. I didn't do enough things right. Lots of you got embroiled in different. Concentrating on probably the wrong things, I think.
Yeah.
Would I say it would be that not as a club because I wouldn't ever. The club was brilliant with me. It just didn't work out right, and most of that's my fault.
Yeah, and I tell you what, mate. For how long I've known you, I really admire your honesty. You've not once said.
Blamed anyone else.
Shower a lot. It was them that did it.
No.
Mick,
but it truly wasn't at Charlton. Listen, I take it on the chin. A lot of it was me. We got some signings that were quite good. One of them went really good signing. He went on to play a couple of League One titles. And so we didn't bed in. Andy Reid come in. I didn't get enough chance with Andy Reid to bed him in. He's and some little Jimmy Floyd, and so sort of a bit of that. So, but that's my fault because that's my acquisitions. And maybe when you're chasing them people, you lose focus on what the basics is. That's what I think. And so,
Did you jump straight from Palace to Charlton?
Yeah.
No rest?
Yeah, no rest. Yeah.
We've talked about that today, about not having a breather.
No.
And sometimes you get worn out. Everything around leaving a football club can wear you out. And to jump straight back into a job Sometimes
Yeah,
you go in there and you're empty.
Yeah, and don't forget,
And you don't realise.
And don't forget, Simon serves an order in the press conference, doesn't he? So it becomes a little bit. So you're ready behind the 8 ball already, don't you? Do you know what I mean?
You're taking over after Curbs as well.
Yeah, of course.
Who had been so
superb.
successful,
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
Finished mid-table 3 times.
And you forget how good a job he did there. Incredible.
Yeah, we had him on. He's very good. After a spell at Coventry, he returned to QPR as manager in 2008. Under the ownership of Flavio Briatore.
Yeah.
Must have been interesting. And Bernie Eccleston.
Yeah, I didn't see
What
much
was
of
that
Bernie.
experience like?
Didn't see much of Bernie, I've got to say. But I mean, the Coventry one was very good. I loved it there at Coventry, but in the end, me and Ray Ranson didn't see eye to eye, so I ended up leaving. We had a really good, actually brilliant. That's a really good little spell. I was only there for about, 10 games, I think. But we had really kept him up.
Yeah.
It was supposed to go kick on like it has now with Frank.
I'm going to say, how do you not get on with him if you've had a good spell and you've won games?
No, but you just don't. He just didn't get. Because I think he wanted me to go with certain players that I didn't want to bring in, and that was part that didn't agree, and so it's no big deal. And then
the pair of us love talking about, because we've had that already about. Did anybody give you a player that you didn't want?
Yeah.
Did they make you sign a player?
No, I never made me sign. But they signed them. They signed them. I didn't. I mean, Flavio had a couple of them. To be fair, yeah, Flavio had some signs of friends of his. And
I bet actually, they were beauties, weren't they?
One was there's a couple of good ones, but a couple of other ones that I go out and so I take the job. I go out to Italy at the under-17s and. We come back anyway. These 2 scouts are there, and we're chatting away, and and I said, "Where's your pad?" They didn't have laptops at the time. Anyway, I said, "Where's your pad?" I've got this pad. I've got ripped bits of paper to give my scouts.
Yeah, a bit of paper to write.
To read it down about the game. Anyway, so we go in there. We talk about. I'm trying to think of the name of the player. Anyway, we signed it. We got this. I said, and Flavio said, "What about this player?" I said, "No, he's not good enough." No, he said, you need to see him again? I said, no, he wasn't very good. Anyway, we've signed him. That's what it was. But I've got to say, it's really nice is this is a true story, right? So we go up, and he's got the Hilton Hotel above Rome. He's got the top floor of it, overlooking it.
The penthouse.
He's got that's his. Yeah. Up there, right? And we go up there. We're sitting with his scouts in the meeting, right? And he's got this unbelievably attractive wife that he's been just about to get married to.
He's been with her 6 months.
So it's me and the 2 scouts here, okay? Me and the 2 scouts talking about this. So we're talking. I'm going looking at these 2 scouts, saying, "What are you talking about? What are you saying? You're not saying anything. Tell him about what the scouts are." They're not saying anything. By the way, they're on his. They're his scouts, obviously.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm saying, "No, I don't want to sign him." And he's too late. It's signed, and blah blah. It wasn't big money, and so you have to ride with it. So anyway, actually, at that moment, halfway through, the doors open. And out comes this big puff of, steam comes out of the bedroom. This lady comes out all dressed in this workout gear, out she's going. And she comes up and she says hello to everyone, very nice, polite and everything. Anyway, then she's kissing me, kiss goodbye. And it's about 2 minutes. We're all sitting there like this like they're kissing, sort of like, anyway. Well, I actually really liked it. And actually I met him in LT. Anyway, so she walks out. The door's shut behind him, and he goes, "Not bad, eh?" It's really good. We were laughing our head off. And I then, after he sacked me, but I met him in the lounge about 4 months afterwards at Heathrow, and he just says, "Football, not good. It wasn't good for me." I said, "Fair enough." Yeah, he was never rude. He had a little. Me and him had a little square up when he was handing me the gardening leave letter with his sidekick when I came off the training ground at QPR, and the lads were brutally disappointed. But again, I had a good. My actual record at QPR was very good. Yeah. So, but he was
different,
very different because he was talking. He was probably the first that was looking at the sort of other things that weren't football. I'd never seen anyone not be football. I did tell him to sit where I was sitting on the day I got the push. I said, "You sit here if you want to manage. You sit in the chair, do it, see where it goes." Anyway,
what did you say? Thank you very much.
No, he didn't bother. No.
Well, he probably answered it. He says in the 4-year plan documentary, we see Flavio trying to influence team selection.
Oh yeah.
And you standing your ground, which I'm sure you would, and I'm glad you did.
The truth is,
How
I think I
quickly
say.
did you realise he wanted control?
No, I don't. I don't think he want control. Really, I just think he didn't have.
He didn't want to control it, but he wanted to influence the team.
No, I just think he
had an
thought
opinion.
that he had these players that he'd bought that should play, and these lads would come in. And one of the lads, like his career, he's a really good player, right? He had 10 games, 8 games, 7 games, 6-3, and he was now coming to us after 3 games. He hadn't hardly played for 5 years. By the way, he's a really good footballer, but he was nowhere near up to speed, and so what he didn't want to. I don't think he wanted to pick the team in any sense. But that's the way it manifested himself. But so I say to Tim Flowers, and I don't know it's being recorded, by the way, because there's now no, but I don't even know it's been recorded. And I say to him, he wants to pick his team, and I'm not going to fucking do it. It's just what I say. I'm just not doing it. There's not a chance of me picking his team. So I then go. So it goes to he. I go to the training ground. I said, listen. I call the lads in. I say, lads, here's the team for Saturday.
Yeah.
If it's not the team, I won't be the manager.
Yeah.
Just telling you. So lads, a couple of lads probably come on, lads. Just pick who he wants. We all know what's going on anyway. Actually, as I go off the training ground that day, he fires me. So that was, he's fine. And but
did he pick the same team?
No, they got hammered 4. They got hammered 5 or something away. Anyway, yeah.
Oh wow.
But anyway, listen. My view is, I don't. And this is honestly, I don't have any anti with him because I just think he was from a different sport. He came in. He was first real he wanted to monetize the game, but done that rudely, not in a bad way.
Commercially,
He done the inside of it was like a restaurant inside in the boardroom and all that. So he'd done all that up, and that was part of where he was going down that route. Well, very clever in lots of ways.
A lot of what he sounds like from you telling us
is the way the game's going.
It's happening now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually did think he was a bit doing some of that was very good, and so I didn't mind that. I love football, Mick, like you two do. I love football. So when people say, "Do you watch football?" I watch football all the time. I breathe it. I go and watch. I scout for Palace now. I just like watching it.
Yeah.
So that's if people are not doing it the right way, it irks me, and I can't not say what I think.
Yeah.
No, why would you?
No,
why would you? Here are my predictions for this week's results. I've got Sunderland to beat Crystal Palace. Both of them were full of energy and seemed to be doing great at one point. Sunderland still are. Palace have no wins in 9. So maybe I'm tempting fate. But I'm going for Sunderland at home to beat Crystal Palace. Stockport who are 4th versus Rotherham. So I'm taking Stockport to beat Rotherham. Rotherham 22nd, having a real struggle there at the bottom of the league. Stockport pushing for promotion. I think that'll be a good result for Stockport. Next one, Nottingham Forest versus Arsenal. Arsenal away at Nottingham Forest. Arsenal have won 8 of the last 9. Forest have struggled a bit. I know they picked up the one at West Ham. Delighted for Daichi, but I just can't see anybody beating Arsenal at the minute. So I'm taking Arsenal to beat that one. And last but not least, Wrexham versus Norwich. Wrexham have won the last 5. Norwich have picked up, actually, and seem to be picking odd results up. But Wrexham just seem to be flying. Seems to be a tough old place to go, and a great result there. Again, against Nottingham Forest in the Cup. They seem to be doing great. So anyway, I'm taking Wrexham to beat Norwich. £10 returns, £127.89p, including the ACCA boost from BOYLE Sports. Good luck, everybody.
Right, this week's 4, hopefully, winners that I'm picking. I'm going to start with Liverpool against Burnley at home. I just think Liverpool will have too much for Burnley. Burnley have found it very difficult this year. But every week, or the majority of the weeks, they do turn up and they have a go. So it's fair play to the manager for keeping them at it. But I just think Liverpool have too much. Then I'm going into the Manchester derby. I'm going to go City. I think Manchester United are still not in turmoil, but they're still up and down in respect of knowing what they want and what they don't want. And I think City now, with Semenyo coming in, they look very, very dangerous, and they look a really, really strong bet to push Arsenal all the way for me.
So that's the two out of the top league. Then I'm going Coventry, play Leicester, which is a local derby. It'll be a tough game. But I think Coventry have had a few setbacks. I still think they've got the team to win the majority of games and get promoted. So I'm going Coventry against Leicester. Leicester, again, have had an indifferent start to the season. Some good results and not so good results. And my last one is Ipswich. They've come good. They've come with a very strong run of late. And again, home form, I think, will top the balance against Blackburn. So those are my four. £10 returns, £52.88p, including the Acca Boost from BOYLE Sports.
We're just coming up to end, but away from football, you had a real health scare, March 24. What happened? How are you? Are you okay?
Oh, great, well, thank you.
You look okay, mate.
So I was in a spin class. No, I do got a bit of spin
was
class.
Was that a bike or was it?
Yeah. No.
I was thinking about his drinking then.
I was in a spin class. Anyway, would you believe I'm there? There's a new lad sitting next to me. I'm next to the window. My wife's 3 up. But the lad's, I keel over on the bike. He says he's collapsed. They turfed me off my bike, and then a couple of helicopters and a couple of ambulances arrive and they revive me, thankfully, and I had a cardiac arrest though. So cardiac arrest, 9 out of 10 die, which is so I was very lucky.
Really?
And then, since then it's been different, but now
you had an operation.
I've got an ICD fitted here.
Yes.
But it changes your perspective on things, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Go on, tell us
how.
how.
It's made me more emotional than I ever was. I don't mean that. I always was quite emotional, but I was much more emotional since that. Like if my boys are home and something.
You appreciate it.
There's some good news. I mean, they're 31 and 28, 29 now.
Yeah.
So or 32 is it? But it just makes I can get quite emotional. which I never used to do. Whereas, and also it makes you value friendships much more, I think.
Yeah.
I think you certainly know who your friends are when you've been through the mill, and I look back and I think about my boys travelling up to journey up to see me in the hospital, what they must have been going through in their mind. Now, as it happens now, seems a long way away, and I feel fine. I went in for a little check up the other day, and everything's tickety boo. So
good.
I've been, and my view is, in the end.
Have you had to change your diet? Have you had to
No,
change
that's not
your
done.
fitness?
He doesn't even know what it was. I was doing spin quite a lot.
Yeah.
I've still done double spins and all that.
Were you trying to show the new guy when he came in? You said there's a new guy next to you, weren't
definitely what. I've still got that competitive nature on the bike.
Right.
A little bit.
I'll show him.
No, yeah, maybe a little
Until
bit.
he
Anyway.
said he's collapsed.
Well, a couple of my mates are cyclists, so they're miles better than I were. But it's just something that I think you just got to be aware of. So.
And how's Debbie caught with all that then? Has she got you on a bit of a short leash now?
Yeah, well, I think she's always had me in a short leash.
Shorter leash.
You know that and I know that. But listen, we've had the boys come home for Christmas, and it's just fabulous. The time, boys, one's working for ITV, the other's working in the city in London. Listen, we have a wonderful relationship.
Grandchildren?
But none, not even no signs of them yet, mate.
Yeah.
Sorry, Tony. But it's just, they're very, very, very. I mean, all they do is take the mickey out of me constantly, as does Mick sometimes when he sees my golf swing. But I think that's a lot of jealousy. He knows my rhythm's lovely and smooth. So,
do you miss it, mate? Do you miss the management?
Yeah, 100%. Listen, would I love to have
16 years? You've been out of it.
That's amazing, isn't it?
Would I
wouldn't have said it. I wouldn't have said it.
Would I take another role? Maybe, but a mentoring role or slight coaching role. Of course I would, because I love the game. You don't ever get tired of competing. In my mind, I'm still competing. What would you do? Even that was at the Birmingham game the other day. I'm moving. Yeah. I'd bring him a bit, put him a bit further forward. It's only natural.
Fiona now leaves me and she goes in the other room, and I went out. I'm watching the game and I'm sometimes
Yeah.
using bad language I shouldn't be using because something, and even some of the things that commentators say, I go, do me a favour.
Yeah, I
you know.
don't know. I'm not
Anyway,
a fan of that.
so I go.
I had one I was listening to one
I opened
Saturday.
the kitchen door. I opened the kitchen door, and the lounge door shut. So I went, "What's it shut for?" Sick of listening to you.
No.
I know. I'm chewing, looking at
Yeah.
the game. So
I mean,
you're still loving it.
I
That's the
quite
main thing.
I quite often look over at Deb, and she's got earplugs in when I'm watching football. So it must be
I do think, mine, just the last one, I do think there is definitely a void in our game of experienced ex-managers, players who could help the younger managers. Not get involved too much with them, but just be there for a sounding board if necessary.
Well, Tone, we're both delighted to have had one of them here today. You've been great, mate.
Thank you very
Thoroughly-
much.
Thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, brilliant.
Thanks
yeah,
for
well
coming
done,
on.
E. Brilliant.
Pleasure.
Well done, Ian.
Thank you.
Brilliant.